a chamber going down in there. And they discovered, we saw the pictures, there was a lot of gold artifacts.
Okay, dude. That sounds an awful lot like the description that Joseph and Oliver Cowdery gave.
I did not have on my bingo card that the plain and precious things would be revealed through Shabbat
this
Night
guy.
Live and a Christian Bible Lands tour group. This is nuts.
It's interesting how Jehovah allows these things to happen with modern excavation equipment to prove that his people have been everywhere all the time.
They were.
Wow.
Good
So this is
comment.
As to why some were gold, some were lead.
I would guess it would be more important.
So the more precious books, the creme de la creme stories were in the gold one.
It may be the Cliff's Notes of the lead books.
Okay, yep.
Oh, the summary. There's a longer version, a history on the brass plates, but here I'm writing the more precious stuff and a summary of my reign in ministry.
All right, guys, this is not a drill. This is real life.
This is nuts, Hayden.
We just got done recording this episode, and at first we were like, oh yeah, there's a couple cool things. After recording and watching this again, it is much more insane than we even thought. Guys, the Book of Mormon is true, and all the naysayers are slowly losing their grasp on all of their arguments that make it sound like we're crazy to believe that the Book of Mormon could have happened.
Dude, gold plates, priestly minority records, fleeing through Arabia, temple
The Tree of
symbolism,
Life.
The Tree of Life. Dude, it is all here. And this is like a bunch of Gentiles. This is like a bunch of Gentiles who are like, oh, we found this in construction sites in Saudi Arabia. This is going to blow your minds.
So stick around. And one thing that we want to say as well, share this with so many people. Guys, we need to share this. This is insane. This video that we're watching is on a channel called Shabbat Night Live. I think it's a Jewish channel. It has about 9,000 views. So nobody knows about this. And this is the first time that this stuff is being shared publicly as far as we understand. So this has to be shared in all of our circles. Send it to your family group messages, your friend group messages. Have their minds blown. Second thing, we're going to be referencing a lot this book that is going to be coming out May 1st that Dave wrote called In the Language of Adam. It takes the Book of Mormon and shows the temple language and liturgy that is shared throughout. And everything we're about to watch, we're not going to rewrite the book because it's done. But there's going to have to be a second book that includes some of the findings that are in here because it's insane.
It is insane. It is. You could not have asked for like a more on-the-nose corroboration to have come out right before this book comes out that says, why, yes, indeed, priests writing about temple things on gold plates, this, in fact, is a thing that happened.
And they left Jerusalem, traveled through Arabia.
Yeah, so watch the video. It's going to blow your
Link in
mind.
the description for the book, and enjoy.
All right, so I just want to do one disclaimer before we dive in. Dave Butler, we've had him on a couple times. I highly recommend you go back and listen to his stuff. You don't have to necessarily do it before this video, but after this video, if you haven't, I highly recommend it. He talks a lot about the temple imagery from King Solomon's temple found throughout the Book of Mormon. So you're going to hear us talk about those sort of things, and I hope you don't get kind of lost in the sauce because it takes some time to learn it. But to break it down simply, Solomon's temple was broken down into three parts. You had the porch that had two giant pillars. Then you had the Haykal, and that's where a lot of the ceremony took place. You had a feast with the Lord, and you stood before the veil. And then there is the Holy of Holies, the final room. Now, in that final room was a menorah which represented the tree of life, the same tree of life that Lehi saw. So essentially, Dave's main theory that we talk about in the previous episodes is that Lehi's vision of the tree of life is actually a temple vision. And so that is kind of a little bit of background as you get into it. Like I said, I highly recommend you look at the previous videos. Enjoy, because this is wild.
So before we get into the actual video, so he's going on an expedition in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
The person who's helping
Sounds
him
like
set
a
up,
Bible Lands tour kind of thing.
Yeah, and so the person that's helping him organize it all is like, hey, I have this friend, this Arab friend.
Right.
He has something special he hasn't shared with anyone. He wants to share with you.
He wants to share with you.
And so then this is where he talks about what the guy shows.
Actually sharing.
And the first thing he pulled out was this book with pages of beaten gold.
How big is this book?
About the size of my two hands here.
Okay, so 5 inches tall. Okay, about the size.
So the thing that's cool is, like, I think a lot of times we do a really bad job at showing what the golden plates actually look like. We think of them as like these solid gold plates, and we use the word plates, right?
Right.
But the way it's described by Joseph Smith is a gold leaf book. He could actually bend it, and you could hear the plates rustle as he bent them.
Interesting.
So this idea of beaten gold fits perfectly.
Right. Yeah, I love it.
Crazy.
About this size, a little bit narrower.
It was a little bit wider too, so it was about the size.
It was
of
both wider and narrower.
Golden pages.
I think these
Right.
guys are
Well,
not
you open it up,
archaeologists.
yeah.
I think.
And holding a gold book in your hand is exciting enough, but that's not the thing that really excited me. It was right there. You can see on the book a signet circle, and I'll give you a better look at it. A signet circle with the Yod He Vav He.
So I think that's a seal at the end of the book is what that is.
Okay, so right there, he's showing the seal. I'm going to go back to it. And it has these writings. What does Yod He Vav mean? For those who don't
Yod
understand.
He Vav He. Those are the names of 4 letters, and they're written there on the screen as YHVH. That's an English transliteration. That is the name Jehovah, or pronounced Yahweh, or rather than say it, you'll hear like observant Jews, for example, will sometimes say something like the name or Hashem, or they'll write G-D, right, rather than write God. That is the name of Yahweh, Israel's God, who we, along with, for example, the John the Evangelist, understand to be Jesus.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Interesting. And then it also has these olive branches on it as well, above and below, it looks like.
Yeah, we're gonna see, Hayden,
And they have
a
12
lot
leaves on
of
them.
tree and
We're gonna see a
branch
lot of tree and branch
motifs
stuff.
in this program.
Okay, which is
Yeah.
interesting because of the book that we have. Here, show this real quick. Let's just do this real quick. This is we're going to talk more about this, but Dave's book that's coming out in the language of Adam that we're publishing with them, it has a lot of this stuff in there.
Yeah, this video. I mean, we've barely started it, but like there is an element of it that's like, holy cow, the Book of Mormon sounds more plausible every day. Like on multiple counts, it lines up with the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
But also, it lines up with the Book of Mormon as we have been describing and discussing it on the Stick of Joseph.
Yes.
It lines up with the Book of Mormon as being a priestly book obsessed with the tree of life, which is the menorah, right? And the repeated branch motif is one of the things we're going to see.
Okay, sweet. Let's keep watching.
A signet circle with the Yod He Vav He in it. That's what interested me.
Wow.
That caught my attention right away. You had in the ancient letters, you have the Yod He Vav He. This is obviously a Hebrew artifact that has been discovered in Arabia. So these are the archives from the archives of the Beni Quareza, and they are a Hebrew, a priestly tribe that was located in Arabia. There are other Hebrew tribes there too, and we have some fascinating evidence on them.
So this was a Saudi Arabian guy who came to you. Did he know the language of what he had in this book? Did he recognize? Did he know what it was?
I don't think so, because he seemed genuinely surprised when I told him it was the name of Yahweh on there.
Wow.
That's pretty cool right there. It's like, because you have to remember, Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country.
Right.
The Muslims and the Jews aren't getting along super well right now.
Right.
Right.
It's a little tricky times.
It's tricky times. And so the fact that like you're not going to have Arab Muslims coming up with fake artifacts that are Hebrew that would lay any sort of claim to Hebrew presence in their country.
Yeah, so I wonder if this is partly why. Who knows what the story is, right? My sense is these two guys, maybe they're Jewish, but my sense is these two guys are maybe Christian and they're part of like a Bible tour.
Yeah.
And I wonder if whoever this group is that this Arab guy represents found this and they're like, well, hey, can't really go sell this to any Israelis right now.
Yeah.
But maybe these Bible tour Christians can hook me up with a potential buyer or someone who'd be interested.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of these artifacts we think of them maybe coming out of the ground and going right to a museum. They don't. They go through the hands of people who buy and sell them until some of them end up in museums, and of course some of them never do.
Yeah. So I guess I think that is probably what happened. And the probability though that they're making this up, I just think in terms, because some people might be like, well, this is kind of sketchy. We don't know where these came from. This might be a forgery. my thought is, first off, I think they would probably just melt down the gold and sell it.
Right.
First off,
Right.
if like, why would they take the time to beat gold, learn an ancient Hebrew language, then carve it into this, especially when they're Muslims and they don't really care about Jews at all right now.
Look, I was watching this this morning the first time, and I just thought, okay, either this is like the most amazing thing, kill me now. I think I typed that to you guys like
Yes,
3
you did.
times. Like, or it's like the most amazing prank ever, and it's like directed at Mormons, and it's like somebody who knows
Someone
an
in
awful
Saudi
lot.
Arabia.
Someone learns Paleo Hebrew. Someone goes and studies enough to go, you know what? We shouldn't put the Shield of David on there. We should put a whole bunch of Tree of Life. Like someone knows the Book of Mormon well enough to do this most like impossibly good fake ever.
Yeah.
Or is real.
Or it's
and
real.
I'm pretty sure it's real.
I think so too. Well, let's keep watching.
Yeah.
on the front. So I don't think they would have been able to translate it. This would take an expert or a institute full of experts. Luckily, I have one, so they brought to the right people. So
I think that's what Rhonda said. Hey, we got some ancient language guys here. Well, we got to see them.
Yeah,
There was also 6 other lead books, larger lead books with a number of pages in that same bag,
Interesting.
as well as a box.
So
We're going
the
to show
same
you.
way that the Nephites had some plates on brass and others on gold,
Yeah.
this archive, which we're going to hear describe what the archive
looked
was.
like.
Yeah, keep your pants on for that. That's very exciting. These guys also had some things that for some reason got onto gold plates and some things that were just written on a cheaper metal, in this case lead.
Wow.
Huh.
And they probably didn't know they were all getting radioactive lead poisoning while they're
They
doing
probably did not, yeah. They probably stored in drinking water.
basically there are 15 lead books when we
15
got
lead
to
books.
the treasure trove.
Now, the first question, of course, is, wow, okay, so how old is this thing? What do we have any estimation as to when this thing came from?
Well, we do have some estimation. It's probably at least 2,000 years old.
Wow.
At least.
Really?
It could be older than that. But the information on it is definitely the story
At least
of
2,000
the
Say that.
Israelites.
You have something to say on that?
Well, this puts us in the neighborhood of lehi. At least 2,000 years old means
Maybe
like
older.
0, the meridian of time, and maybe older than that. Huh? Okay. Gold plates, Arabia. This is Lehi's exit journey out of Jerusalem. Let's learn why these folks were in Arabia, shall we?
Yeah.
as they came through, because it is a story basically in both pictures and prose. So, and we have managed to translate
So
enough
they're
of
just
it to
checking
tell
by
what is
pictures
going
and
on in
prose.
here.
They're
So now
kinda
gold,
saying,
one
like,
more
what's
question,
being
because I'm
said,
just
they're
curious.
kinda
Yeah, go
giving
ahead.
a
So
guess
if
that
these
they
are
don't
truly like
actually
gold
know.
pages,
Yeah, these guys can't read.
I mean, how does
Yeah.
that work? If there's several pages on top of each other and we know gold is soft, how does the inscription not get mashed?
Well, it's embossed. It was embossed, and
Right.
then you can see the bindings,
It
like
is-
a ring bindings.
Okay.
It's got ring binding.
Oh,
They are gold.
I
too.
give you the
rings are
ark,
gold.
the mountain of
really
God. That's curious.
thin,
They don't
but
even
it's
comment on this,
really
but
embossed.
here come
Okay,
temple
so-
themes.
And that's not going to disappear, or it'd be hard to stomp that out. But they took very good care of it. It's obviously in care.
Precious. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And the hint that this might be Hebrew is in the next page, where there is some menorahs carved into it as well.
Okay, before we get into this part, one thing I want to point out is that's another thing that people like point out. It's like, oh, he carved it in gold. How did they carve it in gold? So I'm pretty sure that right here, this is one example. And the thing that's interesting though, and I don't know how much I can share about this because this was something that was given to me in confidence, and so I can't give details.
Interesting. Okay.
But there is also another ancient book that has been found that contains hundreds of pages written on, or what would be English pages if it was translated English, hundreds of pages of writing on gold plates, gold leaf like this, on front and back.
Very
which is
interesting.
interesting. So
Very
this one
interesting.
is just on the front, so it's embossed on one side, but this other thing that I'm talking about, and I hope we'll get permission to do a video about this soon.
Very cool.
Um,
Very cool. Stay
It
tuned.
has it on both sides of the front and back of it.
Holy
so-
cow, Hayden! We
which
live
is
in
cool.
such interesting
I
times.
know.
And I also I think he's going to comment on it in a minute. But let's just notice that quote he just had up here talked about. It wasn't just the mountain of God and the ark, but also seeds, which you're going to remember are one of the obsessions of the Book of Mormon. It's part of the travel. We got seeds of every kind. We put seeds into the boat. But that's also a genealogical idea, because Jacob talks about sort of the impact on marriage laws of God's decisions around raising up seed and when it's expedient to raise up seed.
Yeah.
Okay? Just remember when he starts talking about seed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, into menorahs though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, hold on to that. But this first page with the signet saying Yehovah says, Yehovah, I shall give the ark. The mountain of God is one. It cannot be broken. This generation has planted seeds of strength.
Okay, we have to talk about this for a second, because kind of the whole thesis of this book and the stuff that you've written is that the mountain of God has been broken. So this idea,
interesting.
so this idea that there was this class of people that had perverted the temple,
Right.
And it seems like, now this is crazy, but what if these are kind of like the same as Lehi? They weren't commanded to go like Lehi all the way across the ocean, but maybe this is a similar group that they leave because the temple has been perverted. And right here they're saying that the mountain of God is one, it cannot be broken. This generation has planted seeds of strength.
Because no matter who controls the physical building, access to the visionary experience is still possible. This is exactly what chapter 9 of the book is about, right? Is, hey, Lehi in 1 Nephi 8 shows us his dream in which the temple has been overtaken and corrupted, but the tree of life is still accessible. And then Nephi gives us a narrative about journeying across the desert, but it's structured around the tabernacle, right? This is Margaret Barker has written a lot about
Non-LDS scholar.
an LDS Methodist scholar, Margaret Barker, has written a lot about at the time of Isaiah. So in her books, The Mother of the Lord and the Great Lady, also King of the Jews, at the time of Isaiah, when there is a temple apostasy, people flee, priests of the old order flee, taking their temple order with them into Arabia. And the question is, what does Arabia mean? And I think her argument is it's sort of Jordan. And I don't know if what we're talking about here really is Jordan or if it's somewhere deeper in Arabia. But maybe the answer is actually what they mean is Arabia, right? Is the peninsula. I love this idea. So to sort of read into this, you think the mountain of God is broken because apostates hold it, but it cannot be.
And the thing that's awesome, because this generation, because we have planted seeds of strength.
Yeah. No matter that you think you have taken or destroyed the tree of life. Again, this is a theme. This is a theme of the book, Hayden.
Yeah.
The tree of life had seeds.
Yeah.
Right? And those seeds have been planted.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so
This is
straight
crazy.
down the lane, Book of Mormon, and straight down the lane in the language of Adam.
And it's cool too. Here it says Jehovah is the seed of seeds. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, a fruit and a seed is different, but the idea of the tree bearing the fruit, the Son of God, that He is. You could kind of say, maybe this is a little too much, but Jehovah is the fruit of fruits. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
might be crazy.
in 80s language that sounds a little funny, but but A, absolutely. B, it also gets to this question of, and this is like a conversation bigger than this probably video, but like, what does it mean to Jacob to raise up seed? Is it about polygamy, or is it about having a royal line of people who can be the Melchizedek priest to bear the name of the Lord and be Yahweh in the temple,
in the
right?
temple, yeah.
And this kind of sounds like it's the latter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy cow. All right, let's continue.
All right.
From getting back to Arabian, we were here at the Passover special to do it.
I want to talk
So
to this
that was
translator.
that
Is
was
that phrase found anywhere else, or is this kind of something special to this book?
seeds is mentioned a lot in Genesis,
Or Latter-day
and
Saints.
the seed is incredibly important.
Oh,
It's obvious,
the
and
seed is
Satan
important.
has always been trying to corrupt the seed throughout time, and that's a theme most people miss in Scripture.
Oh.
But he talks about the seed and the importance of the seed. The flood was to destroy all the seed that
And the
was
small
not
plates.
that was corrupted and that was not good, so that this seed could survive. So it's a hugely important theme.
And to go on this, when he's talking about Genesis as well, oh, dude, this is beautiful right here. Genesis 49, Joseph is a fruitful bough whose branches run over the wall.
Yeah.
This idea of like that the seed of Joseph is being, so I don't know if these guys are Ephraimites as well, or Josephites as well that are doing this stuff, but
That
this
is so
idea of the
interesting.
seed being preserved, right? And that's
the branch
what was
images,
happening.
which we're going to see a bunch more before we're done here.
Yeah, the branch image of Joe, dude. Yeah, I wonder if that might be like, is the branch? Could that be a symbol? Like, hey, this is Joseph.
Well, I mean, it is, right. So the branch or the what do we say? The root of
yeah, because the sign, the Hebrew sign for Joseph.
What do we say in Isaiah 11? I'm blanking on the words.
Here, let me grab my Bible.
The rod and the staff of Jesse. The root.
Oh,
why am I blanking?
Is it
on
the
this?
staff of Jesse or? Okay, so I'll look this up.
Yeah,
Hebrew
then we can edit out the part where I sound dumb and be like, "Oh, Dave just got it right."
Joseph.
Yeah, it's the rod and the branch of Jesse, right? Which the stem of Jesse. Sorry, the stem of Jesse, the branch of Jesse, is generally thought to be a symbol of the Davidic king.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the king who was righteous, kept the covenant, manifested himself as the Lord.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So it is royal and it's messianic.
It's royal. So when it comes to Joseph too, the tribe of Joseph itself was symbolized by the wheat stalks. Let's look at this real quick. Let's go back to the seal.
It is a little wheat stalk.
Could that not be especially that bottom one?
It could be a head of wheat. Yeah,
Maybe,
that's
who
very
knows?
interesting.
I don't know. That's just that's an interesting. But the idea of seed, the idea that the tribe of Joseph would be preserved and would be a branch going over the walls. Right?
Yeah,
So that's very Book of Mormon-esque.
This is we're not done. It's going to get
No,
more.
it
It's going to
hasn't.
get Book of Mormon-esque.
history. And that's obviously what this is. It is an annal of the journey
Annal.
of the Israelites since the beginning, and we know that story. So this one, but it's got pictures, it's got prose, it's pretty clear.
Pictures and prose, but yet not scripture. Like I was just saying, that the writing there did not strike me as something I remember from the Bible, per
No.
se. That's something else.
Yeah.
Almost like
Right.
it could be different.
It's definitely their own explanation of it, but there are things that are very much biblical.
Wow.
The name of God is biblical. So we'll look at it. You can see here you have a menorah right there.
Oh,
in the
hello. And what's on the facing page there, Hayden?
a giant tree.
A giant tree with 3 branches on one side and 3 branches on the other. Just
Boom.
like the menorah.
Just like this. Almost like showing that the menorah was a representation of the tree, and almost like the tree of life played a very central role to temple worship, almost like Lehi was showing us a temple vision in the tree of life vision.
Absolutely. And indeed, that little tree on the right, what is it between, Hayden?
Is between, oh my gosh, is between 2 pillars.
It is between 2 pillars. It is as if one is standing in front of the temple, looking into the temple, and the 2 pillars are Yakin and Boaz, and you can see the menorah, which is the tree of life in the depths.
Wow. Okay, let's keep looking at it because it looks like there's fruit too. There's fruit hanging from this tree.
I think
as well.
later on
It's
they say,
dates.
I think it's a date, which is fine. The tree of life has been described as many trees, but one of them is Tamar's, a date palm.
Yeah, which I mean just makes sense. Those were the trees there
Sure.
that actually provided fruit. There's not
Sure.
really any other trees that provide fruit in the Middle East.
Yep.
Okay, what is this symbol down here?
I
they
do not
need
know.
to just they need to, like.
Yeah, they need to get
sketch
some
this
guys
out.
in there reading it.
Because this is wild.
They need to get Margaret Barker in there
On this.
reading this. We should forward this to. I'm going to forward this to Margaret
Yeah,
today.
she's gonna lose it.
She is. I am losing it, Hayden.
I know.
I am losing it. Look, there's the menorah tree of life. Oh, here's like a priestly Jewish clan sometime about 2,000 years ago went and buried this record in Arabia
Yeah.
on gold plates, in which that we've already heard the menorah is all over it, and there is the tree of life.
Yeah, and you can actually see though here too as well how small this book really is.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is a small one right here,
Yeah.
which is
It's like one of those little Sefer Raziel charms where there's a book called Sefer Raziel, which is supposed to like keep away evil spirits, and so they sell in Jerusalem. A friend of mine mailed me this copies that are like this big,
That big?
where it's the book but printed tiny, so you have the charm but don't have the book.
you don't have to carry the book with you. Yeah.
Right, you can stick it in your pocket or hide
That's
it
why.
behind the books.
This
on your
is probably
shelf.
like their pamphlet. This is like their pamphlets as they're going around being missionaries. Be like, guys, the temple's been corrupted. Here we go. You can read about it here.
Well, so and there's very few words, right? There's a
Yes,
couple words
right
over there on
here.
the left, and a couple words on the right. So this is a little tiny book with images.
Do you know Paleo Hebrew at all?
I could get out I didn't bring my Gesenius. We could look, but I don't.
Because like, what does this say?
Right.
That could say something very Book of Mormon-y.
Well, or very temple-y. If you have an image that's
Temple-y,
like
yeah.
tree of life between 2 pillars, what's the one word you write there?
I know.
I don't know what it is, but it could be. a key word you need to know to access the tree of life between two
Crazy.
pillars, right?
Who knows, man?
Or it could be an acronym. It could be those letters there to remind you of 4 different words, right? I don't know.
Holy cow. All right, well, let's keep watching.
Okay. Oh, by the way, around the left, that looks to me like a vine with grapes, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, yeah. This right here, these are leaves, boom.
Yeah,
leaves,
so
leaves,
according
leaves, and then
to
grapes.
the Mishnah and according to Josephus, Herod's temple, we don't know about the first temple, but Herod's temple, the 2 pillars had a vine across the top. People would come and when they made offerings of grapes, they would hang the grapes on the vine.
Yeah.
So that, and also Isaiah 5, right? I'll sing a song, Asherah. I'll sing a song to my beloved. My beloved had a vineyard in a fruitful hill, right? So the vineyard, the place where you grow grapes, is a symbol of the temple. Also, this is like the temple-iest thing imaginable. Right here.
Holy cow.
Other than like having just a picture of the throne.
Yeah.
Have a picture of the temple and a palm tree, and the name of God is right there beside the trunk.
And is that
Name
Paleo
of
Hebrew
God.
that we're seeing there?
Yes, that
Okay.
would definitely be Paleo Hebrew.
And has anybody had time to try and figure out what that says? Or
Yeah, we've translated some of this enough to know what
Who's we,
the general
Kimo-san?
theme of
Yeah,
this is.
please.
So
Link
you've
in
got
the
some
description.
My
very common
translator,
icons, one of
Rufus.
which the menorah you see all the time. The columns of the temple seem to represent the temple. The palm trees, and all around the edges you've got vines with grapes on them. And you've
Why
got the
is there a
sunburst,
tree
so
in the
they
temple?
represent the promised
Yeah.
land,
Jim?
as far as we can tell.
There's the
And
backside.
there are other things that are located there. You have a palm leaf on the other side.
it looks to me like is it in best estimation to say that as a date palm?
And I think so.
So
yes.
the
with the
palm
dates
leaf,
are
remember,
there.
these are what, when Jesus comes into Jerusalem
what they lay
at
down.
Tabernacles, right? And they're acclaiming him as the king, and they're waving palm leaves, and they're laying them down in front of him and the donkey he's riding on.
Yeah.
Right? So again, this is
You get
temple and Davidic king symbolism here.
Symbolism.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've got that, and here you have from that. Remember, this is embossed on there. So you've got the front of the page and the back of the page. They emboss it from the back. You can see it on the front, but it'll last forever. It is not going to go away, and that was obviously the intent. And the fact that
Kinda
it's
like-
done in gold.
Isn't it Jacob who says we know if we write on anything other than metal plates that it will decay and go
decay.
away? I can't remember what word.
Yeah,
he
and
uses.
I think they also say that these plates will shine forever, or they say something like
not
that.
be
they'll shine.
diminished over time. Huh?
Huh, it seems like
Huh.
a really good way to keep an ancient record, and maybe not something that Joseph Smith just made up.
Maybe wasn't crazy times back in 1829.
Dude, this is so crazy.
Yeah, we live in
Means
weird
it's something
times, Hayden.
sacred to these people.
Oh, we wrote
Right.
on gold
Right.
because it was
so
sacred.
That's what they're writing on. This, you can see
Okay, so he said right there. I'm just gonna rewind back because we.
the intent. And the fact that it's done in gold means it's something sacred way, and that was obviously the intent. And the fact that it's done in gold means it's something sacred to these people.
So, yes, because he talked about the lead plates, right? He
Yep.
didn't talk about the sacredness on those. That was
Yep.
just like, it
Those
was our
are just,
normal record.
administrative.
But the
record of
more
the kings.
sacred parts,
Yep.
like maybe the small plates of Nephi,
Huh.
were written on,
on
gold.
Huh? Oh,
Dude. And
like
dude,
I said, I'm thinking.
and the temple stuff too. The fact, because where do you find the majority of the temple in the Book of Mormon?
well, it's all over, but the small place is super
It's like
dense. Yeah,
right? And
super
so
dense.
maybe it's this thing where it's like, obviously, the ark was
Yeah.
made out of gold. The temple
Right.
was made out of gold. So when
Right.
you write about the,
the
temple,
menorah is made out of gold.
you write in
it
gold.
on gold. It's so interesting. This is why I was watching this, going like, man, if this is a prank, it's like the smartest prank ever, and it's like a prank designed to get specifically me.
Yeah.
like I don't know who this is.
Specific
Props to
weirdos,
this guy.
yeah.
I don't think it can be a prank. There's
No.
too much of this is just exactly right.
It's just
and
crazy.
weird, exactly right in the way that your average like Mormon baiting evangelical whatever
It's not going to understand.
not gonna go
because they've
this
never
way.
actually read the Book of Mormon.
and they're not going to have exactly.
Oh gosh! All right, let's continue.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's what they're writing on. This, you can see the thumb of Patrick McGuire right there.
Wow, you're a hand model, Patrick. How about that?
Yeah, but here I am holding this gold, and I'm just trying to get the shadow just right so we could read it.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm holding it, and it didn't quite hit me what I was
that's
holding
little
until
rings in
later.
there.
But
Yeah.
the fact that one, it's an antique, I mean, if you melt the gold down itself, it's not going to, whatever the price of ounce of gold, a couple ounces of gold is. But what's put into this gold
It's incredible.
is priceless, and it certainly is telling a story. And it was these we think were found somewhere near Medina
And what priestly line did you say this was?
Okay, so let's look real quick. He
We're
said
pulling up
they're found
Medina?
somewhere in Medina. Okay, yeah, this is wild. Or
Okay.
Medina up here. Okay,
So that is basically right on Lehi's
Trail
journey.
is exactly on Lehi's
So-
trail. So Lehi's trail is going down here, and then he would go through here through the more fertile parts, come all the way down to around Sana. This is where around Nahum is, and then cuts across to Oman, Salalah. This is where Oman. This is where Bountiful would be.
But this, Hayden, is how young men in 1829 entertained themselves, was constructing these fabulous
these crazy
tales.
things, holy cow, that are later then corroborated by gold plates found on
That's
that exact
how
trail.
you win is by getting a 200-year subsequent corroboration by a Christian Bible group
Crazy,
on
man.
a Jewish weekend TV show.
Called Shabbat Night Live. I love it.
The Bene Quareza.
Okay, and who are they?
Well, they left the Promised Land 2nd century under Roman oppression. And people don't understand how bad
let's go back to this.
Bene Quareza.
Okay, and who are they?
Well, they left the Promised Land 2nd century under Roman oppression. And people don't understand how bad Roman oppression was because generally the Roman church
So he's saying that these plates contained things about this group of people. So we're
This
talking
is
second
whose
century.
record they are, and he says this is interesting. So he says the plates are probably 2,000 years old
Or older.
or maybe older, but that the Bene Quareza left Jerusalem about the 2nd century under Roman oppression. That has to be 2nd century AD,
Yeah.
right? Because it's
Romans come in at like
it's
9
not Roman
B-
oppression. It's
BC.
like Antiochus Epiphanes, the second hunt, right?
Yeah.
But that suggests that they think maybe the plates weren't made on the journey, that they pre-existed, right?
Okay.
So the tribe had these plates and took them with them. Took their
Okay.
sacred records from Jerusalem. Crazy talk, though that may sound.
Interesting. Okay. Wild.
gives a pass to the Roman military and the Roman church married, and since then they've been giving the Romans a pass on everything they did, like crucifying Yeshua. So it wasn't the Romans' fault; it was the Jews' fault, right? Right. So you've got all of this happening here. This particular page reads, "Mitzrayim, Egypt has been spoiled." Okay. That sounds like a part of the journey. So one would assume that this might be some of that very gold that had been spoiled from the Egyptians, perhaps.
Makes sense.
I don't know.
Makes
That
sense.
gold is a big trading item in the Mideast.
Well, and I think people fail to really stop and think about how much gold was given to the Israelites. I mean, this sustained them forever in the
that
desert,
suggests-
and they were able to trade and buy.
That they think potentially, I think what I just heard this guy say, and I think this has got to be a total guess, right, is that gold taken out of Egypt at the time of the Exodus was used to make
those.
these plates.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know how the people of the Bene Quareza would know if that's right. Maybe
it could just be It could just be tradition. Like
It could
they
be
say that about
tradition,
themselves.
or it's like an icon. It's a way to, like, we have this gold, and it's a way to remember, why do we have this gold? Because God brought us out of Egypt and let us bring gold on the way.
Yes.
Whether that's exactly the same gold is not
Doesn't
so
really
important
matter.
as the
Yeah.
symbol. Anyway, it's
That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
things with it, and who knows what else. Never mind, make all of the accoutrements for the tabernacle.
Yes.
I mean, where else would they have gotten the gold?
Imagine.
The Ark of the Covenant. is
Ark of the
fully
Covenant?
covered.
The golden calf, not just-
Yeah, all of that.
The golden calf was from their slave earrings,
Slave earrings are true enough.
which was kind of a mess there. But I had an artist say, the world-renowned artist in my Bible study before the Lord.
They were all very ingrained in the Egyptian culture and way of life. So that's why the Egyptian influences.
Oh, that's interesting. Wait, so you mean that Joseph is not crazy to give indications that for example, some of the literary inheritance through Joseph came down from Egypt, or to have Egyptian names like, I don't know, Nephi and Pahanki?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes,
they're very
and Sam as well. Yeah.
ingrained in the Egyptian way of life. I mean, this should be old news because serious people don't take that as a criticism. But I have read people. Okay, I don't know if they're people. I've read Reddit trolls.
Yeah, they could be
They might not be
robots.
people. They could be bots saying, well, the Israelites hated the Egyptians. They were their enemies. They never would have had an Egyptian name or whatever.
But it's like that's their tradition. And that's
They're
not
in
even
the
a
orbit of
serious
Egypt.
criticism
They're-
anymore.
It really isn't. But like, it's nice to hear this guy saying it.
Yeah.
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 on
Well,
Sinai.
we see that on the calf, or the
Yes.
altar to the golden calf.
The altar to the golden calf.
They knew the
bull dance
artwork.
from
They just-
Apis. You know, all of that stuff is there. The Horus depiction, Horus being suckled by Hathor. You know, even the all-seeing eye of Jehovah.
Yeah.
That's all of Egyptian origin.
They knew the stuff. They knew the stories. They knew them by heart, obviously, and then they just sort of.
And
Horus being suckled by Hathor, by the way, that's like Mike Day stuff. That's the king sitting upon the lap of his mother, the throne.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. So when
Interesting.
Mike Day and some other things we've recorded, which may or may not
will
be
be
coming
in the
out
book,
soon,
and you'll only be able to see if you buy the book. You have 10+ hours of bonus.
it is bonus
conversation.
content. Yeah. When he talks about the mother of God being the throne of God, that's what that guy's talking about.
Interesting.
where there are other depictions of the bull dance. So a similar thing is going on here. Where does this come from? Well, you look at their artwork, their icons that they use, and they are very common and very Egyptian. This one mentions the very name of Egypt. So this after they showed us this in the hotel.
So it's almost like, hey, we speak the language of the Egyptians after the manner of the Jews. Like there's just this marriage between these two cultures.
It's almost like that's the kind of thing that like a priestly family that educated its sons in the mysteries of God might teach them.
Might teach them, yeah. It's these symbols that go, oh, this is wild.
We're going to show you some of the lead book stuff that we were trying to do, and those literally had not been opened in probably 2,000 years. So as we opened them, it was full of dust and everything. We're trying to clean it
Well,
off.
leached minerals from the lead. The minerals leach out, so we had to clean that off so we could photograph but it also was embossed. And they did this for it to last forever. That's what they did it for. So obviously this is important
again.
information. So it was akin to each other.
And they said they had discovered it as a construction situation where they found this hollow area, and it was
They were pitching a tent.
some kind of, and all of a sudden, there's this room underneath there, and all
Well,
this
they
stuff.
kept hitting the slab underneath, so they cleared off all the sand and dirt
what?
and everything. There's this big tabletop slab, and they managed to get it off of the top of it, and there was a chamber going down in there. And they discovered, we saw the pictures, there was a lot of gold artifacts.
Okay, dude. So that sounds an awful lot like the description that Joseph and Oliver Cowdery gave when Moroni takes him into a chamber, shows him the Liahona,
Yep.
gold artifact,
Gold artifact.
or brass artifact.
All right, fine, whatever.
Where's it go? I can't remember. All these other plates, plus the sword of Laban and other. I can't remember if it names any other artifacts, but there's other artifacts in there as well.
Plates.
So this chamber underground,
Right.
and that's where they found all this.
This construction company, right?
Oh, dude.
Which, by the way, I don't know, might be the Bin Laden family.
It probably
Fun
is,
fact.
honestly.
So, yeah, and so, by the way, another reason they might have grabbed these guys is they might not have wanted to notify government authorities in Saudi Arabia because they might not have wanted to. This is the classic reason why people today they'll like find. On their ranch land out in southern Utah, they'll find petroglyphs, and they won't notify the state because the state might come and take your land.
Yeah,
so you
or
just keep it secret,
or just ruin it too, or like hide it, or take it off and put it take artifacts and hide them. Like
Take 'em
that's
for
what
yourself.
happens. How many amazing artifacts that would corroborate the Book of Mormon have been found in the Americas
Yeah,
that have just been
that we just don't have
Just
because
put away.
Someone put them in their back room.
the Smithsonian?
Yeah, so these
Give it
guys
back.
find a room full of. They say gold, but maybe it was brass, right? These guys didn't see the room.
Yeah, they just saw
They got
pictures
shown
of it.
photos.
Yeah, just tons of artifacts. But that's the point, though. Is there's a room full of plates and artifacts
Yep.
that is in the ground.
Yep. And in a few minutes, he's going to talk about it is multiple gold books because they handled at least 2 of the gold books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
In these archives, so we saw the pictures of them. I must admit, I'm much more interested in the information. To me, that's what is precious. The history that is
There's a gold lamp of some kind. But
than these artifacts of gold, although they're certainly important.
And again, we don't know exactly where this was.
No.
Well, we're not disclosing
Yeah.
Okay.
for the protection of the people involved.
Sure.
Yeah, because we hope to be able to get these things out. We'll have to work with the Saudi government, and
Can you imagine just digging one day and finding this stuff?
that's
Like Indiana
apparently what
Jones,
happened.
We got Dr. Jones here.
Imagine
and,
being the
Dr.
guy on the
Miles Jones.
Bobcat.
Yeah, that sounds like something out of another Dr. Jones
Yeah.
movie I've seen.
You make $30,000 a year or something. I don't know. You're like some Filipino guest worker,
So
and
Yeah.
like
we're looking at
you
this,
turn this
and,
up.
That's
then
what's
we get
surprising is that
taken
he-
to this other
he didn't
city,
just take it
several
all,
hours
you know
away.
what I mean?
Yep.
We're making it, and it's kind of. I don't know. What was your feeling when we were doing that? It was kind of like being at Mount Sinai. Is this really happening?
I mean, they probably what they probably thought is that maybe somehow they're ancient Islamic. Like if they didn't understand the language on there, I don't know.
might have guessed.
Maybe they would have guessed. Oh, this is Proto-Arabic.
I mean,
which they still wouldn't have understood, and which is very similar to Proto-Hebrew.
Or something else, right? Aramaean or something else. I mean, his account is that they were surprised. But I just want to point out, okay, this is like in like the Gospel of John, where people there's Johannine irony is people say things that are true, but they're truer than they realize.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy's talking about, oh, we found all these plates with the menorah and the tree of life on them. What I'm interested in is the precious information.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what 1 Nephi 11 says, is that the tree of life is precious above all. And 1 Nephi 13 says that the plain and precious things were taken out.
contained in the-
But they're going to come back.
Oh, dude.
Right? Oh my gosh. I did not have on my bingo card that the plain and precious things would be revealed through Shabbat
this
Night
guy.
Live. Right? And a Christian Bible Lands tour group. Like,
That's wild.
this
dude.
is nuts. This
is.
is crazy times.
Holy cow. Holy cow. That's an amazing observation.
It was real surreal. Yeah.
Yeah, because we saw the actual seal of the Beni Koreza, which is in this document, and this is here another gold book.
Oh.
And it's got
Gold books are common.
it is
apparently.
gold, but it's from a different source. And you can see on there, it's got a different seal on it than the seal of the Beni Koreza.
Oh my gosh, but it still has these. Okay, so this is a symbol I keep seeing over and over again.
Yeah, to me that looks like a star or something
Yeah.
like a star, and I wonder. So when we saw the asterisk at the bottom of the tree of life on the previous thing, and you pointed it out, and then we got distracted. My guess is that that's a star, right?
Yeah.
So some sacred names maybe that refer to the king or the Melchizedek priest are Shahar and Shalem, which are the morning and the evening star. And so that's just that, man, that's a gut guess,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. Some Othmar Keel type expert in
It could be more of like
iconography
an
probably
Egypt
have
thing. It could be part of that Egypt, symbology thing. You know what I mean? I know.
It could be. Both of them have 8 rays coming out, right? The seal of Melchizedek is an 8-pointed star. I'm not saying that.
Oh, really?
I'm just saying it's 2 squares in the same way that the shield of David is 2
Oh,
triangles.
yeah. Okay.
So I don't know that that's what that is, but what I do know, that's a menorah. So we're seeing the menorah, the tree of life again.
Do you want to see something wild that I just barely noticed?
Tell me.
I don't think you see. How many levels does the stand have? 1,
Oh, it's
2,
got 3.
And at
What?
the top level is the menorah.
What? You was said? Oh my gosh! Oh, right here on the front cover of this book is a pictorial instruction that says you ascend into the presence of the tree of life by going up 3 steps.
Yeah.
3 levels.
Dude, okay. So now listen to this. This is something that we got to talk about.
Okay,
Because the
okay.
idea of these seals
Okay.
being on like the first page of the book
Okay.
or the last page as we would read it,
Yeah.
because it's backwards, right? Don Bradley in his book The Lost 116
What a great
Pages,
book,
which is
Don.
an insane book. He talks about how when they visited Charles Anthony in 1841, that they gave him like this seal. There was like this, they called it a seal, but it was this circle that had all of these symbols on it. And here's some of the descriptions of what that symbol looked like. So, for example, it says, in Anthon's later account, he described characters from Hebrew and Greek. On Martin's report, Anthon had said they were Egyptian, Chaldaic, Assyriac, and Arabic, right? So who knows, who's right on that. But it says this: the characters were arranged in perpendicular columns, and the whole ended in a rude delineation of a circle divided into various compartments decked with strange marks. So you have, first off, all of these letters are in rude columns. All of these characters are in
even
rude
more
columns.
clearly in some of the previous sheets we saw, right? The Israel is the Israel is spoiled was straight up a column up the left side.
Yes. And where was this part that was really interesting where it talked about? Oh, here's one that was interesting. So it talks on the last plate is a circle with rays proceeding from it resembling the sun, as commonly sketched, and around the circle are 24 circles more, but of a different character from the first, as each of these circles is composed of figures resembling stars, half moons, as a star, then a half moon, and so continued for 24 circles are complete. So, but just this idea, and this is 1,000 years after they left, right?
Right.
But the idea that on this last page there is a circle around it. We see the star and the sun motif, which we're seeing star and sun here.
With also temple symbols, right? I mean, the host of heaven are created in the temple vision of Genesis 1, and the Deuteronomists say you can't worship them, so that indicates they were in the temple. But also the book of Revelation, which is a temple vision, when it has, I'm going to forget the chapter, and probably the details wrong, but the Lamb is enthroned. Is that like Revelation 4 or 5? And is surrounded by 24 other thrones, right? That sounds like to me, okay, the sun and 24 other
thrones around
astral symbols around it are a throne surrounded by 24 thrones.
That's
So I think we have
really
another. These are temple rich.
You have such a weird
seals.
library, man.
I have
in your
very
brain.
Yes,
too.
this is correct.
That's crazy. You remember
I am
that.
a strange man.
So it also says 6 years after examining the facsimile, Anthon described it as consisting of all kinds of crooked characters disposed in columns. It included crosses and flourishes. What would a flourish be? Would a flourish be something like this, like this weird sun thing?
Yeah, it could be. It could just be a catch-all word for look. Here's a fancy little shape that isn't an obvious thing like a cross or a circle or a rosette, or something.
This is wild, though. How would you describe this sort of writing? Would all kinds of crooked characters disposed in columns maybe be a good description of the writing that's on this seal?
It might be a pretty good description.
That is absolutely crazy. He talks about crosses and flourishes and characters from various alphabets.
By the way, it is Revelation 4. Verse 3, verse 2 is the throne. A throne was set in heaven, one sat upon the throne. Verse 3 describes it. Verse 4, around about the throne were 24 seats, with 24 elders clothed in white raiment.
So 24. That's interesting.
So a lot of those symbols there could be flourishes. Certainly those little kind of 8-lined, what look to me like astral symbols, could be someone might describe them as a flourish, or some of these things might be kind of letters.
Yeah.
I mean, like that thing down the bottom looks like a what do you call it? Like, that looks like a little eye bolt protruding out of a plank or something.
Yeah. Well, I actually think this is one of the leaves from the grapevine. See all the leaves here.
We'll see, but I didn't even see the grapevine.
Yeah, the grapevine around the whole
the
outside
grapevine
of the
around the whole thing again.
Yeah. And I wonder how many.
But
grapes.
those might be flourishes, right? A straight grape leaf. It is a grape. Oh, and how did I not? Hayden, how did I not see this?
I don't know, bro. Come on.
I don't know either, bro.
You need different
that
prescription
kills
of
me.
your
I'm
glasses.
embarrassed.
But I really like that because it doesn't even say that it's concentric circles in this description that Martin gave. He says there are just 24 circles more that surround the first circle and that they are different circles. And so what you're explaining there, like there's the throne, and then around it is 24
other thrones. That could be the image, right? and again, you go, oh well, but that's people get confused, right? Oh, that's Revelation, which is like 100 A.D. And even if Book of Mormon is true, it's like that's like, how would they have known the Revelation? Well, yeah, but the Book of Revelation includes temple motifs, right? So the point would be that a throne surrounded by 24. Maybe what we're talking about is the ascent to the throne room, which is what the book In the Language of Adam is all about. When it climaxes with becoming one of the shining ones, joining the family of God, maybe in the final scene, God is on his throne, and there are 24
thrones around him. Or you
thrones. You're sitting in one of the 24 thrones, right? Or 24 people, stand around the foundation stone, and there's some idea that you are enthroned, right?
Oh, I got it though. That's awesome, the temple motif, but I think I got a little bit better.
Okay, hit me up.
Don't be mad though. Okay,
I won't be mad.
Nephi.
Okay.
Talks about how he was shown many things.
I can't be mad about Nephi. I always like Nephi.
But that someone else's job was to tell those things, and he was talking about John.
He was specifically talking about John. And this is First Nephi 13 or 14.
Yes, and so that. Those sacred things,
that might
Mormon probably was reading those sacred things, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that it shows up in Revelations, holy cow, the fact that it shows up in Revelations and it seems to correspond to this
super interesting. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it has to remain a guess, right? But boy, it's an interesting guess.
I'm going to have to take a nap after this.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay, so the seals, though, that's the point of this. It's really interesting that all of these books have seals on them, and that the Book of Mormon also had a seal on it.
Huh. Weird. This is a YouTube video about sealed books.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's another Hebrew tribe. There were many. I've studied the history of it.
It wasn't
there were
just
many
the
in that
Beni
time.
Kareza. A different Hebrew tribe in Arabia
Had this one.
made that book.
Okay.
Yeah. This is apparently a thing that Hebrew tribes traveling in Arabia did.
They write the sacred things with menorahs onto gold plates.
And he even said earlier, he's like, well, this is characteristic of Jews in Arabia, unless you think people are going around making gold books everywhere in the ancient world. Like, well,
maybe,
bro.
Crazy.
The Beni Kareza actually brought agriculture, the use of agriculture into Arabia. They had all been herdsmen. They had not started agriculture, so they became very prosperous. And there were other tribes.
Now I'm going to ask you more about this book. We got to take a break. We'll come right back to this. That's
All right.
I love this stuff.
Commercials.
Possible. Just before the break, we were talking about this gold book, and Dr. Miles, I didn't get a chance to ask you this before the break, but is this book that we saw on the screen, is it relatively the same size as that first one we saw? You said this was another different book.
It's another gold book from another source. So that indicates there's a ton of these archives
Now, another
in Arabia.
source implies to me
Unless you
that,
think
like,
there's a bunch of people making up gold
it's
books
not from that
in
one
ancient
archive.
languages.
Yeah, maybe they came across another one.
Right. So, like, there is someone else. Like, the guys are like, by the way, our pals also have some of these books.
Yeah.
Right?
Or here's another thing. There's one archive, but one guy is just like, hey, here's thousands of years of people's documents that are writing on different books, and I'm going to put them all in one archive. And maybe he put them all in one.
He put
plate.
them all there. Well, I wonder if it's like these guys. Like we're only getting part of the story, right? I mean, I don't mean they're hiding something, but like they're just telling us the highlights of the story. But I wonder if I were them, I'd be like, listen, give me some time. I'm going to go find a buyer, and I would call every billionaire I could get in front of and say, we need money to buy this stuff. And then if they show up and they're like, we have money to buy, I wonder if other people come out of the woodwork. Oh well, here's another one.
It's true.
It turns out we've been finding a lot of this stuff and sitting on it.
I will say this. I do have connections to a billionaire. So if you guys ever see this and you need someone to buy it, he loves artifacts like this, and he may have bought something else that I alluded to earlier.
Interesting.
That has to do with this. So if that's an issue, if you need someone to put up money in order to properly study these, we're going to send this to the Shabbat Night Live guys. Please let
reach
us know.
out. Reach out.
Wow. Then in the ancient alphabet, and much less Hebrew. These are Hebrew artifacts. There's no
in an
doubt
Arabic
about
country.
That. Yes, in an Arabic country. So it opens the door really wide that there's a much, much broader involvement of the Hebrews in the Arabian history. Just to give you an example. Yeah. And basically it's been sat on because they're not really
so
keen on
Lehi
that
might
idea.
have known the path to go across to Arabia because there was a big involvement of
Scripture
Hebrews
that
in
all
that
the patriarchs came out of
country.
Arabia. right? And we know why, actually. But when you're reading it, you start picking up, okay, they're Amorites or Arameans or Chaldeans, so on and so forth. But they're all coming out of Arabia, in that time period.
It's interesting how Jehovah allows these things to happen with modern excavation equipment to prove that his people have been everywhere all the time.
They were.
Wow.
Good
So this
comment.
is an incredible book. I don't have the rest of the pages, but it shows that there are other sources to this. I think
Baptize
there's
that
a
guy
lot
now.
of this
No,
material.
seriously.
Now, you mentioned lead books. Is that coming up?
Yeah.
Do we have some of that?
We're going to
Yeah,
talk
some
about
of the
lead
lead
book.
books
This
now.
is an heirloom box. How do we
Oh.
know that? Because
There's
it has
a
the word
menorah.
heir
Another menorah.
in Hebrew. It has the word
Now, is
heir
there
on
a
it. So this is probably where they put.
serpent
We had
across
some
the base of
coins
that
and the
menorah?
seal.
What do you think?
There's something.
There's something crossing the base of that menorah.
Yeah.
That looks like it's not
Letter.
right. It looks like it's not a letter and like it's not dirt. It looks like it's on there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing to maybe the.
Of the Beni Koreza tribe. This may well have been their seal. What you see is a menorah there, right? But if you look closely down below what would be the candlesticks, there's a serpent on the base.
That's
maybe
a
like
trodden under.
Okay, this
trodden
is
under.
also straight up in the language of Adam, where we talk
Oh my
about
gosh.
the Nehushtan, because Moses puts a seraph on a pole. This appears as a King
symbol of
Hezekiah
Christ.
breaks it. It appears in Isaiah's vision to call him to the Nephites and to John in John chapter 3. So there's John again.
Yeah.
It is emphatically a symbol of Jesus. John has Jesus say to Nicodemus that compare himself to the Nehushtan.
Yeah,
Right?
he
So
does.
there is the tree of life, which again, this is in the language of Adam. That's the mother, and that's the son.
The sun right
The
there.
mother and the son, because again, come read in the language of Adam. Link or something is below.
Yeah, link below.
Yeah, there are two. Isaiah 6 suggests that there are two Nehushtans, and the Nephites know that Jesus is a serpent. They say this 4 times in 1 Nephi 17, 2 Nephi 25, Alma 33, Helaman 8. But they also know that Satan is a serpent. Lehi in 2 Nephi 2 says this. So that the menorah with the serpent, that's the tree of life, that's the mother, and that's the son that is the serpent that heals you when you look at it. And Isaiah's experience is it burns away
cleanses
his sin.
sins from his mouth. Yeah. Holy cow. So right there, 2 other Book of Mormon motifs. Once again, the tree of life that is described as Mary,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
in there, and then the Son of God as a serpent.
Give me the translations yesterday. It's going
Seriously.
to take him 40
What
years.
is written on here?
Or they'll never appear because someone will buy it for his private collection. I want to read this stuff now.
And if they're watching this, they probably just think we're crazy. Guys, take this seriously.
Right.
I promise you'll find amazing
This is
stuff.
a Mormon homeless guy.
Feet of Yehovah, or his menorah, his icon, is the serpent. So that's very interesting. So this contained, this is made of lead, and so are the loops made of lead. So it's designed to last forever.
So this is for family collectibles, that type of, like a jewelry box.
I would
type
think
of
so.
thing. Okay.
Yeah, and the seal of which they had, and we saw it, of the Beni Koreza,
seal
their
of that
stamp.
tribe.
Their stamp, right? So that's probably their seal right there. But on the same box, there you have a menorah, right?
Oh, there's a menorah again.
What else did you find on there? Anything besides that menorah? Was there anything else you picked
There's
up on?
another
Well, there's
tree.
plenty of writing there.
There's another tree.
And we
There's
have
a
not,
menorah
we
and a
have
tree
not,
always next to each
And
other.
there's these kind of
And then
star
there's
things
star
again.
right? Which let's see if we can count.
They got more than 8. They got quite a few. Is it 12?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what those stars are. Those are really interesting.
I mean, if there are 2 of them, I wonder if it is the morning and the evening star.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Which is an Egyptian thing as well, like that Egyptian influence. That's what the Pharaoh was called.
Nebtawi, yeah, the king of 2 lands. That is very Egyptian. Although, in Hebrew, the word Shemaim, heaven, is a dual. There are apparently 2 heavens. I don't know.
Interesting.
I'd say to all of the writing at this point, it's a very challenging task because there's probably a mixture of languages and mixture of scripts over a period of time that may have been a lot longer than we think. But it's probably second century AD.
Okay.
But it tells of events that happened much
So this is not just plain old Paleo Hebrew, easy to decipher and away we go. This is a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah, it's complicated. There's probably,
As if I can read Paleo Hebrew.
well, they're probably writing Hebrew, but there's some admixture maybe of Aramaic or Arabic
Wait,
or something.
okay.
You
So that
mean You mean you might write in Hebrew, but like mix in another language? Like, I don't know, Egyptian or something?
I
what?
wonder.
Crazy times.
I'd love to look at these symbols. Here, let's do this real quick.
These people are obsessed with the menorah and the tree of life, by the way.
I need.
I mean, that's one of the big themes we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Is there is no seal of David.
No.
There's the menorah, the tree of life, branches of the tree of life, again and again and again and again.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go back to this writing here.
If you are wondering if I can read that, the answer is no.
One sec, I'll be right back.
Okay. Hayden! Dude, you're going to get a million hits.
You know what this is?
If there's any justice in the world, that's the character's document.
It's a character's document.
Oh, how
There's
interesting.
just some weird, I don't know, the spacing of it, some of those.
You think it feels like the character's document?
Yeah. There just seems to be some. So like this, see this symbol right here, and this one doesn't have the dot.
It does look similar.
It has this, there's a couple of these symbols here. This backwards F looking thing, that's something I feel like I've seen because I've looked at this document over and over again. I don't know. It takes some time. It would take some time to look through this, but one thing that it does look a lot like is Demotic Egyptian.
Sure. Yeah.
So I would love to see what they have to say about this. These guys are linguist guys, so I don't know if that's potential. It's like there's this Demotic and Hebrew mixture, right? But
yeah.
Really interesting. Okay, let's continue.
Over a 10th century AD.
Okay.
But it tells of events that happened much
So this
earlier.
is not just plain old Paleo Hebrew, easy to decipher and away we go. This is a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah, it's complicated. There's probably,
As if I can read Paleo Hebrew.
well, they're probably writing Hebrew, but there's some admixture, maybe of Aramaic or Arabic or something.
Okay.
So that can, there
Try
always
it.
is,
Try it.
depending upon where you're doing
See
it.
if that helps.
You know, so that
Try
can
Demotic
complicate
Egyptian.
the picture. So this
That's
is one
or
of the lead
something,
books.
Hayden.
Yeah.
Or something.
Okay. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay.
Right, and they're leaching minerals out of them because of their age. So we had to clean that off so we could see the.
That had to be a very
writing.
stressful
tablets.
task, so as not to ruin anything, I suppose.
Well, it's pretty sturdy because it's
Is
the
it?
boss, so it's
Okay.
not gonna. You're not gonna
Boss
scrub it
lead.
away or
I guess so,
anything.
right.
You're not gonna scrub it away.
We
But we
had-
were gentle.
We were gentle and we had, when it was off, and were more of a challenge, and
so
to be able to
it's a signet
get the
circle
team
with
on
the
that.
God.
It takes time, it takes funds,
has the branch
that type
in
of thing to
Yeah.
really study this. So it's not like in the movies where,
You walk up to it and read it.
walk up and read it, you're okay, and it's just not.
So
quite
the
the
seal that we're seeing on the screen right
This is the same seal. It's just not
It
as
is.
easy to. It's not as easy to see. I'll give you a close.
same as which, because we've seen several
You've got the
seals.
seal
Yeah.
at the top, and then below you've got a menorah. And
Another
there are
menorah.
other
So he's
things
turned it
here,
now, right?
other
So there's
icons
two
there. I
branches
wanted to
on
show
that
you what they are.
seal.
You can see there's letters around.
Yeah.
So this is literally a picture book. It's a picture
Obsessed
book of
with
the
the
history
menorah
of the
and the tree of
Israelites. Is
life.
what it is. So here you've got. I want you to see the littlest box there. You can see there's a pyramid there. Can you see that?
yeah, it's pretty
Got a
obvious.
pyramid,
Yeah,
and to the
try
left, we thought that was a
Egyptian,
river,
bro.
but it really looks
See
more
if
like a
demonic
shofar.
Egyptian
That's
might
a
be
shofar.
the-
And above it, you have a broken down wall. What could that be?
Jericho.
Jericho, exactly.
So wow, this really is the story.
No, it is. It's
Is
actually,
it,
it really
or
is
is
the
the
story.
broken down
and
wall
then over to
Jerusalem
the right, you've
destroyed
got
in
the temple column,
586?
which probably
Yeah.
represents this in the
Temple
temple. And what do you
column
have in
next
the
to the
temple? You
menorah.
have a menorah there, right?
Interesting.
Now we've got
Definitely
one. I don't
temple.
see if you can see it here,
Back
but
of the-
you've got Jacob's ladder is one of the icons that you see that's very common in this, and they use these icons over and over again.
Jacob's
so
ladder is one of
they're
the
important.
icons. Very
And
Jacob.
they all
Let's
seem to
recall,
relate to the
Jacob
Israelites'
sees
history.
angels
Speaking of
going
books,
up and
okay,
down
so
the
we have
ladder
gold books
and
and we have
wrestles
lead
with
books.
one of them.
Any
This
clue,
is a
any guess
temple
as to why
motif.
some were
That is
gold,
a,
some
and,
were
and
lead?
what does he do?
would
He
guess it-
names the place where he was at, and he has the vision Bethel, which is house of God, right? So Jacob's ladder is the temple ascent. So we've been seeing the menorah, tree of life, temple columns. Now he says, and we haven't seen this really, but he says Jacob's ladder is very common in this. Look, these people, whoever they were living outside of Jerusalem, obsessed with temple stuff, including the temple ascent. I mean, it's not. He hasn't yet said, "Here's a picture of an altar for animal sacrifice."
No.
Right? It's the temple as the place where the tree of life is and where one ascends to meet God. That's what the
That's
temple that they're
crazy.
seeing on this plate.
And I'm just having this thought right now, and maybe maybe you're saying it just in cloaked language to me, but Jacob wrestling with God and
Oh, yes.
receiving a new name.
Oh, yes. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
why have I never thought of this?
Oh, yes. At a place where he sees angels going up and down into the heavens, and he grips God, is given a new name, and he calls it the house of God, Bethel.
Dude, why did I not
Right.
see this before?
And that's the Jacob's ladder that he says is all over this stuff.
Holy cow.
Yep. Yep.
My brain hurts, dude.
We have
would be
like
more
20 more
important.
minutes.
So the more precious books, the creme de la creme stories.
Oh,
were
he
the
just said
gold
the
ones.
precious stuff
And
goes
maybe
on
the-
gold.
So the more precious
books.
books as to why some were gold, some were lead.
I would guess it would be more important.
So the more precious books, the creme de la creme stories were in the gold one. And,
It may be the Cliff's Notes of the lead books.
okay, yep.
Oh, the summary. There's a longer version of history on the brass plates, but here I'm writing the more precious stuff and a summary of my reign and ministry.
Oh
Yeah.
my
These guys are like
gosh.
paraphrasing Nephi. It's hilarious.
Dude, do they have any idea?
I doubt
we
it.
need to get in touch with
I
them.
doubt it. Why? So they can like take this off the internet? No.
well,
let's
we
just
got it
share this with
recorded
every
already.
Mormon who has internet access and just go watch it. Don't say anything. Don't post any comments like, "Oh, secretly you should read
There
the Book
were
of
a
Mormon."
couple
bro.
comments as I was looking where
Were
like
there?
Latter-day Saints are probably like someone was like Latter-day Saints are probably freaking out right now.
Yeah. Hello.
Dude,
More than you
that
know.
is insane right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like a more summarized version, like an abridgment.
Right. Right.
Dude,
Right. Like just the key parts, just the heads thereof, as Jacob would say.
that is crazy. He made a face there. He's showing that to us. Right there, he was showing like that was a nod to us. He knows what he's doing.
Okay. That'd be funny if this guy's like actually an LDS seminary teacher or something, and like he's trolling the whole world with this stuff. That would be awesome.
Hilarious.
I
Where
would.
the lead books were bigger, had more real estate to work with, had more pages. Obviously, lead is more available than gold.
Right.
We're getting a metallurgical study done to aid
Try to
this
date
book.
it. Yeah.
You know which brass is made out
Maybe
of
who they
copper
belong to. Maybe
and
the
iron,
chief of the
I
tribe
think, or
Yeah.
something,
had the.
so it's more
Well,
readily-
knowing the when
brass is
will
its
tell
own
us-
metal,
we
but
know the when,
bronze
we know
is
the
right.
where.
Bronze is
And
a.
that
Is
will tell
brass
us-
its own metal? I'm pretty sure it's an alloy.
Oh, is it? Is it an alloy?
Let's look.
Boy, this is embarrassing. I thought brass was its own metal. Bronze was an alloy either of brass and zinc or brass and tin.
Okay. Okay, so yeah.
Oh,
brass
I'm wrong.
is
Copper.
66% copper,
Okay.
34%
Okay.
zinc.
Okay. You're right. Wow.
Gosh, dude.
I'm so dumb.
Why don't you read a book? or
Dang
two?
it.
But that's interesting. He's saying they write the long version on these because lead's more available.
Yeah.
You know, copper's
Yeah.
one of the most
Quite available.
available
Yep.
metals.
Yep.
You know, and wow.
A lot about the what is in these. So,
And the who.
Yeah, and the who. That's very good. That's right. So we'll be able to tell what the linguistic influence is.
Oh, wait, one of the
This is a
things this makes me
mixture
wanna know
of
is,
Hebrew.
like-
It is Hebrew.
Maybe I need to go reread the 116 pages. Like, how much were the gold plates illustrated like this? Like, to what extent were there
yeah,
like
where there's things in
little
it.
menorahs, trees of life, little 8-pointed stars,
True.
grapevines around the edges, right? Like, I wonder if
I
there
know,
are
I need to
accounts that talk about
reread
that.
that.
I don't remember whether there are or if there aren't, but that could still be the case.
Yeah.
How awesome would that be? We
But
find the
already,
plates.
the fact that there is a circle seal, and then there are columns of
Right.
squiggly characters,
Right.
and then this is a circle seal.
The fact,
with columns of
the fact that
squiggly-
they're brass plates, he's going to show us, and and we're going to see more seals here before we're done. We are seeing sealed books,
Yeah.
over and over again.
One thing that I will say that maybe that's the name of this title: sealed gold plates found in Saudi Arabia.
I
Maybe
think that's
the-
right.
maybe that's
Sealed
the-
gold
'cause
plates
that's
found
what
in
it
Saudi
is.
Arabia with like the picture,
Yeah.
right, with one of these screen caps.
Interesting, dude. I'm just thinking though. I think that Lehi and Nephi, they're even going farther in terms of the temple because so they're using gold to write the most precious things, right?
Yep.
What is everything else pretty much in the temple made out of that's made out of metal in the temple? It's brass. It
Okay.
talks about it, right? How the Babylonians come and they take all of the brass out of the temple and they melt it down.
Okay.
And so the fact that Nephi is using brass and gold, it's very much like a nod to the temple, I think.
That's interesting. I'm reading Margaret's commentary on the Gospel of John, and the Nicanor Gate this is later than Lehi, but is entirely a brass.
It's brass as well. So,
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
And but you're going to have a mixture. You might have some Arabic or Aramaic mixed in there. That's the main challenge. So here we have
Egyptian,
the last
bro.
page
Look it up.
of the Gold Book, which is incredibly important because this one mentions the seeds of Zadok. So Zadok, if you remember from your scripture reading, Zadok was the high priest who, what did you call it, ordained? What do they call it who
Anointed.
Anointed. Thank you. Anointed Solomon as king of Israel. Okay, so and he had his own following, the Zadokite priests, which held sway for centuries, and but then you've got all these power groups.
Some people
going.
think those are
and I hate
priests
to
after the order of Melchizedek, who were then ousted by later Mosaic priests. Also, Margaret Barker's has hypothesized that maybe Zadok is the name that the king takes on when he is in the priestly role.
When he's acting as
that
priest.
that she reads the Hebrew and says, "Hey, this might say that Solomon is Zadok."
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, we've got this missing book of Zadok, right? And the Tzaddikim, the righteous ones.
So the parallel, I'll just draw it for everybody watching. There happens to be other prophets that don't exist in our current thing that write things pertaining to, what it seems like the temple.
Priestly stuff.
Yeah. Maybe Zenoch.
Zenos.
Yeah, like Jackson just tried to FaceTime me.
Did he? Is he trying to jump in?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, he just texted me. He said, "Bro, I just watched this. I cannot wait to see the look on people's faces when more and more of this starts coming out."
It's crazy.
Yo, Jack, we're recording right now.
You are on the air.
You are on the air.
Bro, I literally just finished watching that Golden Book video, bro.
Dude, when you see this video that we've been recording, the other things that we've pointed out and learned as we've been talking through this, it is absolutely insane. How about the fact that he's like, the lead plates are where they wrote the long version of it all because it was more available and easy, and they only wrote the most precious things of a summarized version on gold.
Dude, I am just looking so forward to when these things keep coming out, bro, and the Lord keeps bringing these things forth, and then we just talk to people that have been so in.
You're caught. We lost you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. But yeah, it's just amazing to see what's. And I can't remember, what did he say? He's like, these things are just coming out of the ground. He's like, this knowledge is coming from the ground.
It's like Yahweh brings these things out of the ground to support the truth of the things he said before. And we're like,
dude, absolutely wild.
Dude.
Well,
I'm so excited for when these things keep happening, bro, and then we don't do the whole "I told you so" to people, but we just show it to them and then just stare them in the eyes.
You just keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they feel it in their soul, and they're like, "Gosh, I'm on the wrong side."
Right.
I'm gonna stick in my pride. Holy cow, dude.
Wow, this is awesome. Well, love you, bro. We're gonna keep recording. We're almost done.
All right, dude.
Bye.
Love you, bro.
Love you too. Bye. All right, so let's keep watching.
Okay.
tell people this, but they're out for blood. You got the Sadducees, you got the Pharisees, you got the Herodian priests, and they're all scrambling for power. So eventually the Zadok priesthood lost power, and all their books disappeared. Imagine that. Yes, that's what happens. Same to the Sadducees. When the power group wins out, they just...
Huh. So does that sort of power struggle exists as well? 586 BC.
When the power struggle's over, the winning group makes the books of the other people disappear. That's amazing. This is why the Book of Mormon is magical, because it's the losers of the power struggle. This is what I started with in Plain and Precious Things. The losers of the power struggle wrote a book, and it was buried on gold plates. And then it came back, and we get their point of view. He's saying the same thing now about the sons of Zadok.
And what happens? What happens in the 5th chapter of the Book of Mormon, or the 4th chapter? He goes and he gets the brass plates, the book of all these things written down, and takes it with him. Quite the parallel. This is absolutely bonkers.
If I taught Book of Mormon at BYU or an institute, I would be showing this video tomorrow.
100%.
I'd be like, we're going to discuss this over 3 days if we have to.
You guys who are watching, all these things that you're discovering have already been written, have already been translated since 1830. Please take the Book of Mormon seriously already. Holy cow. I'm going to send one to you. I'm finding out who you guys are. I'm sending you this video, and I'm sending you a Book of Mormon because you guys, you need to read it. Holy cow. It will help you unlock all of these things because I think the mixed language is probably not Aramaic or Arabic. Look at Egyptian.
It'll kill their living though because their followers are probably all evangelicals.
Dude, we have Latter-day Saints. We have Latter-day Saints that want to go on tours to Sinai too.
True, they'll come with you.
They'll come with you. Gosh. All right, continue.
Just sort of erase the history of their competitors. Well, one of the things that we know they had was called the Book of Zadok.
There it is.
That's mentioned in the records, but we don't have it. Unless maybe this has part of the Book of Zadok. It could be. It could well be. I mean, I don't want to get overexcited about it, but it's very possible.
Also,
it mentions
Zadok
the seed
and
of
Zadok.
Zadok.
The very fact.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone is a pretty rare thing to say.
Yes.
Although
Yeah,
he's
that's not
like
random. That's
hoping.
not a random
I hope
thing to
we
say.
can have the view of these suppressed priests.
Yeah.
Like you have it. It exists. And if you don't want to go to a Deseret book to buy it, that's fine because like Random House or somebody, Doubleday, published their own edition a few years ago. We don't even have to know. You can secretly read it, bro. It is there.
Wow. What does a Hebrew N and a Hebrew D look like each other by chance?
I don't know
they
Paleo
mixed it
Hebrew at
up?
all.
Because I would love
You're
if
like
they just
Zenock
messed
and
up.
Zadok.
If they just messed up their
We
thing.
could check that. We could go check Gesenius and see how close they are.
Dude, I just I swear if they start finding Gnome and Zenus and stuff in this,
Right.
I'm gonna lose it.
Yes. Well, Yigael Yadin did that with the name Alma, right? Have we
Yeah.
talked about that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So like Alma in 1968 turns up
It's
and
a girl name. It's a girl name.
Yeah,
It means virgin
yeah,
and all this.
yeah.
It's never
Nope.
would be used for a man.
it's a guy. Alma
Yep.
Ben Yehuda owned land, 125 AD.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So don't expect any apologies when that happens, but
No,
I
no
will
one's
be
gonna say
very
anything.
excited.
I know.
Either. So you may well be looking at stuff that came from the Book of Zadok if it isn't the Book of Zadok. So
And how much evidence do we have of writings from these folks? You said most of them most or if not all was destroyed. So is there any other evidence that?
not
out
that I
there?
know of, and I think if it were in Israel, they would have found it. I'm guessing.
Not in Israel.
Because once they realized, for example, that papyrus could actually last as long as it
Seems
had
like
in the
the
Dead Sea Scrolls, they went
priests
through
left,
all of
took
the
the
caves
writings with them.
throughout the Dead Sea area trying to find this,
They
and
lost the power
they
to
kept
it.
finding more and more evidence. I mean, really, every few decades they would find more evidence and have another major find. So, if they were going to find it, they would have found it by now. But Arabia, that's like new territory.
Yeah, I guess it would be
It's
right.
new territory. Nobody's been allowed in there, and they're going a lot more open now. So I think we can come to some arrangement with the Saudi government. It's their stuff. I mean, I don't care where it ends up. I just want to know the evidence, and then I want the world to be able to see it and know the history. So I think we can come to an arrangement. This is us in that undisclosed location, Saudi Arabia, cleaning up close.
Kristen just thought it was a snapshot thing. So the next thing we have.
We wanted to talk about something that we've just gotten
Okay,
last
just
week.
got.
from these same sources.
This is
We
So
have
even
no
more
one's
exclusive
ever
than the
seen
Gold
before.
Book.
Yes, this is something nobody's ever seen yet. We've barely seen it. Literally, we just got this
So
days
wait,
ago,
wait,
a couple
wait,
days
I
ago.
haven't watched
This
this far in the book.
A couple
Or
of
in
days
the-
ago. So
Yeah.
you're saying
Yeah,
that
a
what you're
couple
about to
days
present
ago.
is going to be here first. It's not seen anywhere.
Anywhere.
And it's going to be
Okay.
here second.
Okay,
You
there you go.
understand?
Another
Correct.
one of the-
You
another
saw
one
it
of
on the
these
stick of
rude
Joseph.
A rude discovery.
Your place
And
if
there
you
have
wanna
been a
get
number
things
of people may not
secondhand.
realize this, but Michael has had incredible vision over the years. He's been able to tap into researchers that were doing the right things and recognize when their research was. We owe Michael.
So we got this. We got this video that's kind of shaky and all that. So I transferred it and started grabbing still shots from it. So that's what we have here.
Well, we saw this when we were in the undisclosed Saudi city, and I said that is maybe the most important thing that we bring away from here.
So make
I'm
sure
not
you get a
impressed by
copy of it.
gold.
Okay.
But the reason is this: there's 12 seals on.
12 seals.
That is a sealed book. That
I've
is
ever
a
seen
sealed metal book. It's got 12 seals on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
and it's like a one-page document. This is some kind of agreement, right? I can't think of any other thing it could be.
Right, because a seal, when you had an agreement,
Yes,
you
you
would
would
have the king's
seal it.
seal or
Yes.
whatever.
Dude, and just the fact, and Don Bradley points this out, like the Book of Mormon says it was hid up and sealed by the hand of Moroni, Moroni.
Yep.
And so just this idea of seals being pressed in to
Right.
metal plates at the
Right.
end to say, hey, this is legit.
Right. And also to put kind of a curse and a blessing on it.
Yeah.
Right. And also to give it the character of a legal document. Because if you think about like what Moroni writes, he's the one who writes in Mormon 8, hey, all reading this, repent. This is my witness against you. You pollute the holy, you cankers, you hypocrites.
It's
How
a
can you pollute
spiritually
the
legal
holy
document.
the holy church of God, right? Like his testimony, and he ends it saying, I will meet you at the pleasing bar of God, right? Like it is his legal testimony against us. It is some kind of an agreement. Like this thing, when they translate it, it's going to be like a wedding contract or a treaty or a big deal for land or something, right?
Yeah.
But the Book of Mormon also has the character of a legal document, and Moroni puts seals on it.
Dude, people are going to think that all we're going to talk about is sealed books on this channel. After last week's episode, we talked about a sealed book. Read this one. I promise we got other things coming too, but this is happening right now for some reason, right?
Exactly. So this is an agreement between 12 tribes. Many of them are Hebrew. Maybe all of them are Hebrew because they have menorahs on their seal.
Wow.
They're different seals.
Oh,
So
more
I'm looking
obsession
at
with
this
the
saying this
menorah.
may be the most important document. So make sure we get a copy of this and we go away. Of course, we didn't.
Because as far as I know, a lot of the stuff that is found, like you don't find tons of menorahs in Israel from like the like from antiquity from that age, right? Like there's just not, I don't know, I need to look into it more, but it seems like, yes, these people are obsessed with menorahs, but you don't find that in the same artifacts that are found within the walls of Jerusalem. Almost like all the menorah people were shoved out and they had to go somewhere else.
That's an interesting question, and we could do some research and take a look. And there's a challenge, which is that archaeology is always sort of you have to caveat it around the whimsy of fortune. Like, what have we happened to find?
For sure, there's so much
Right.
fog.
I mean, I know. For example, Margaret has talked about there's a seal of Hezekiah, which might be a winged scarab, or might actually be, as we talked about in some bonus content conversation, a Nehushtan, a seraph, right?
Yeah.
So like that's a little counterintuitive, right? I don't know. My sense is yours. I don't have a sense that there are lots and lots of sort of Deuteronomist era or influence post-Deuteronomist menorah symbolism.
Interesting. I don't know.
But it certainly seems to be par excellence the symbol, the menorah and the tree of life that these people take with them.
Over and over again. And the serpent at the base of the
The
menorah.
serpent at the
How
base
cool
of the
is
menorah.
that?
That's pretty sweet. You guys got to read in the language of Adam, because like this is like literally what it talks about.
The person said
I
to
thought
do
he
that.
had it. He thought they
didn't.
had it.
And he didn't tell me they didn't have it.
And it transferred, and I'm looking through my iPhone trying to find the video that was sent to me, and it's not there. And I'm like, oh man.
That's the most important document of all of them.
So it's taken months to get reconnected to find it, and so they just sent it to us.
Yeah, we just got back in touch with our contact.
So this is the overall shot of it, and then we're
Go
gonna
ahead.
drill down on it a little bit.
But you can see there's 12 seals here. That's
Yeah.
that's why I recognize immediately
Once
this has
again,
got to
written
be
in
some kind of major
columns.
important,
No, they're
a
gonna show
document of
you-
major importance, an
They're
agreement
gonna
of
close
some
up
sort.
on at least
An
one of these
ancient
seals.
agreement, which is historically incredibly important. I don't know how important, but I know important when I see it.
And do you recognize any of the letters in the middle? Like you said, this can't be a
I recognize that these letters are the same as we see in the rest of the Bene Koreza archive. So they come from the same time and from the same people we're talking about.
So we have 3 minutes left. What can you tell us?
All right.
3 minutes.
Well, these are
Kinda
some of
go
the
through
seals. We're
some of
looking at
these
some
seals.
close-ups here. So we have, like I said, now this one is important because I want you to
Oh,
see
this
what
one's
looks like a
cool.
ladder
Holy
there.
cow.
Yes.
That is a ladder.
So Jacob's ladder, as you were describing.
Right.
This one is important, he says. There's Jacob's ladder. That again is the ascent up into the presence of God at Bethel, the house of God. Oh, look what it's next to.
Interesting.
It's next to the tree of life, which I think is the fruitful tree. I think that's fruit hanging off the branches of the tree, right? I think it's specifically the fruitful tree, C-E-G, 1 Nephi 8.
How many steps are in Jacob's ladder?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because here's my thought.
Well, it could be 7, couldn't it?
Is is Jacob's ladder. So, we talk about how every single room, the whole temple is 20 cubits high, except for the last, which is 10 cubits, which we surmise they go through the veil and then they walk upstairs.
Right.
To get up to the Holy
we
of
only
Holies.
guess because it doesn't say.
We only guess.
But linguistically, that would be appropriate.
That would make sense 'cause
thematically.
you're moving up higher every single time.
You're wondering if the ladder is specifically whatever
The
you
stairs
use
that
to
move
ascend.
up too, because the other thing too is we're like, oh, but it shows a tree before the stairs, but it doesn't because we read it as English readers, but
Right.
Hebrews would say the ladder comes before the tree.
Yeah, and if you knew, you would know. You would say, "Well, this is the ladder by which I ascend into the presence of the tree."
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is the case, whether it refers to the specific stairs or how sweet would it be if it was a ladder.
If it actually,
I mean,
was a
what if
ladder
you
that-
if you approach,
you are Jacob, you're getting your new name.
and what you perceive is that heaven is inaccessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just a 10 cubit high wall.
Yeah,
And
and
then
you look
there's
up
the
and there's a
veil.
door.
And you have your death and resurrection experience, and as you're resurrecting, the veil parts, light comes out, and then you see for the first time a ladder, which
Yeah.
had never been there before.
That would actually be epic,
Right,
dude.
Like that, you can imagine that as amazing staging. But maybe it's stairs, or maybe it refers to the whole ascent.
Just the whole ascent
But it
in
is
general.
something in that space. There's also branches, right? There's the branch.
That goes across it, and then you have there. It does look like there's fruit on the tree. I can't really.
It's hard to be
there's
sure,
weird
right?
Shadows.
I mean, this
but-
whole thing is probably like that big.
Yeah.
But it looks like
But you
there's
see,
fruit.
there's these little circles on it. So
Came off the back of his RV.
It does look like an RV.
No, but this is one of the icons that pops up all the time in their books.
Oh, okay.
Jacob's ladder.
And the tree.
Yeah. And
So they
the-
really rely on the very famous stories to
Yeah, no,
sort of
they're-
say, hey, this is Hebrew.
They're
Jacob's
responding
ladder
to that. So
pops
that's
up
on their
all the
seal,
time in these
right?
books,
And the name
all
of God is
throughout.
on the seal.
And the tree.
And there's another seal that has the name of the house of Yah. That's on their seal. So these are
And there's the
Hebrew
menorah
tribes
and
in
the branch.
Arabia, and these are all letters that are consonant with
These
the
are
ones we already
priests
have.
of-
You can see the
there's
menorah
the
on this
menorah
one,
and the
And the
branch.
branch.
and some other
These are priests
writing,
obsessed with the things of the temple.
and other seals. Some of them we can't see
branches.
completely because it's probably not that easy to emboss it, even if the lead was hot.
That one I can't see.
We're seeing them.
Oh, branch and menorah.
Wow.
And these are like,
So
they
these-
think
it's
from
a lot
like
of menorahs,
12
right?
different
But
families,
they
but
also
almost
have
all of
little
them have the
differences
menorah
in
and or
them.
branches
So
in
able
their
to
symbol.
verify that there are 12 distinct
They're,
seals.
look at this
seals.
one.
They're
Oh,
It's
that's
like a circle.
Huh. Are those possibly 24 circles
Is that
around the
24 circles
outside?
around one circle
Wait, could that even
with like a moon?
dude?
Interesting. And a cross.
1, 2,
and
3,
it talks about how
4,
there's a
5.
cross.
If that's not 24, it's approximately 24.
Yeah, it's within the realm.
Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Man, it might be like 22 or 25, but like it is about 24 around the circle in the center. Holy cow, I wonder if that is a variant of the
20,
image.
21, 22, 23, 24. I counted 24.
It
just barely.
looks like 24
Around
to me,
it.
man. It looks like 24 to me. You got to be
Don
kidding
Bradley,
me.
you need to look at all of this. This
You
is absolutely
got to be
bonkers.
kidding me. And there's the palm branch down below. Every one of these, except for the one where I couldn't make anything out, has some combination of temple-associated symbols.
Interesting.
These are not people, again, you're not seeing symbols that show like a blood offering, right? You're seeing the tree, the serpent, the palm branch. This is, I think, this is Revelations 4. It's the
Yeah.
throne with the thrones around it. That's
Like this is
a
the
vision
throne,
of the
yeah.
Holy of Holies. The throne of God is the Ark of the Covenant, and or maybe the cherub throne sitting on the rock, on the foundation stone. These people are priests. And, oh, man.
They're 12 seals, and they are different. They're all different. So we're looking at something.
Each one of these is
Menorah.
different.
Yeah,
Branch.
That was the last
but
slide.
many of them have menorahs on them, so it's probably an agreement, I would think, among 12 tribes of Hebrew tribes living in Arabia around the Mecca area.
So will part of this be try to correlate, maybe look at each of these seals, and where each one of these tribes may be known for a certain thing, and see if maybe it correlates with one of those seals?
Yes,
I doubt
would
we know
definitely
who
do
these
that.
12
but
tribes
we know
really
these are
are.
mentioned in history. I mean, we have historical, mention of the tribe of Beni Korez and some of the other Hebrew tribes. We know they existed at that time, so that's undoubtable.
All right, so there you have it.
Holy cow. This was crazy. I think you think it's crazier now after we just went through it this way.
Having watched it a second time, I missed things the first
So
time around.
many.
This is nuts. This is completely crazy. So let's summarize.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Priesthood holders fleeing Jerusalem through Arabia. Not crazy, corroborated.
Yep.
Keeping track, putting their records on metal plates. Not crazy, corroborated. Having their less sacred historical or legal documents on planar metals, but then having this is their word, their
words.
precious things, right? They're more precious things. The host and the dude both said it on metal, corroborated. These people, Jews active, using mixtures of languages, moving through Arabia, corroborated. Jews who are the losers in the historical power battles, writing down their sacred things on gold plates, corroborated. Those priestly Jews obsessing over temple imagery, including the tree of life and the menorah especially, but also Jacob's ladder, the heavenly ascent,
And a
corroborated.
serpent. And a serpent.
And the serpent, corroborated. Like, this is it.
Oh my gosh. And guys, if you feel like you're a little lost in the sauce because you haven't listened to any of our previous episodes or anything, this book, In the Language of Adam, link in the description. You can either it depends on how quickly we can get this up. You can either do the pre-order, like actually order your book, or put your email in there and you will be among the first that gets access to the book when it comes out May 1st. So guys, this is wild. And I just got to say this. Share this with every Latter-day Saint that you know. Let them know that this isn't... We aren't crazy for believing. And, you know, all the critics are going to be like, look at the Mormons feel vindicated. And so now they're like, look, we're not crazy. But
Doggone
this is
straight.
amazing. Yeah.
Doggone straight we do.
Yeah.
These guys are trying really hard not to say, but it's unlike the Book of Mormon. It is real.
It would be interesting to see. We need to reach out to these guys. All right, guys. So share this. Link in the description for In the Language of Adam. And until next time, stay curious and hungry. Dude.